mission for you guys as a company is to work, I'm guessing, with Fortune 500 companies and others, right? But large companies on these types of missions. I know you probably can't talk about the company specifically, but what kinds of projects are you working on right now? So
we're doing some pilots for some very large companies, so software companies where they want virtual assistants. We're even looking at smart toys like edutainment type applications. We're looking at doing essentially virtual patients for healthcare training simulations. So we don't just make realistic faces, we also they can be non-human characters. So we can literally take a brand and create an embodiment of the brand personality, and you can kind of control all the expressions and whatever that brand has, so the customer can actually go up and actually interact with that brand. So a big project which we've been working on is actually in Australia with the Australian government, and it's a project for people with disability. And this project is a very innovative project, but it really helps accessibility for people that basically don't have the sort of ease of interacting with computers that we do.
I'm curious just to go to some just broader AI questions. So from your perspective, where does AI go next? Because I think AI is probably one of the things that's being discussed most here at the Cannes Festival this year. But there's so little knowledge about it that it's, you ask 10 people their opinion, you'll get 11 different answers. Asking you, an expert in the field, where do you think AI goes from here?
It can go into so many places. It's coming down to, for specific tasks, you can have AI systems, essentially achieve or exceed human ability in, say, for example, image recognition and things like that. Our focus is really on putting those components together. How do you draw all these elements together to make something sort of generally useful? Now, I think that my own sort of personal interest is in actually making sort of AI that you can literally play with. So it's essentially, it can learn through interaction, it can teach, and you can teach it. And so, we're looking at creating, truly interactive, smart characters that you can, have fun with, and that they have essentially a social purpose, and that they can be used to help learn, both for kids and adults, and also help guide people and make things more accessible. So many places. The other thing we're looking at is, like, if you think about human cooperation is the biggest force in history, and we're now getting to a point where we can start cooperating with machines. So if the work that we're doing here, we're really looking at laying the groundwork for cooperating with machines in the future. And if you think on the creative aspects of this, you start having situations where you co-create with machines. And that's infinite what you can do. And there's so many other things too. Like, for example, with these types of models, you're essentially creating virtual characters. You add these into virtual reality and augmented reality worlds, and you're essentially populating an entire world of interactive characters that we'll be able to interact with, just like we interact with real people.
So this leads me to my last question, which I have to, as I've spent the last 24 hours with you, it just keeps coming up in my head. And there's this term that I'm sure we've all heard called singularity. If you haven't heard the term, essentially there's an idea that at some point we're going to have a chip placed in our brains, and the merge between man and machine, human and machine, will be complete. If it ever happens, it's a long way off. But do we need to start having that conversation at this point about what that means? Because as I look at all of this, it just feels more and more like a blur.
Well, I'll show you the next video. This is essentially the machine, essentially a digital human empathetically responding to me.
Okay, can you hear me? Well, I'm going to tell you about my week. Actually, the last couple of days it's been very challenging for me. It's been very difficult. I've been really struggling with a lot of very sad things, and then the last day was actually quite irritating. As everything was just not going my way. It was really, really frustrating. I didn't know what to do. But I'm hoping that tomorrow is going to be a great day, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. So it's with this blur that can happen. So I think that one of the reasons that we're looking into this is that it's going to be important that we socialize the machines that we're creating. So we put a very big emphasis on the social interaction, because ultimately people cooperate with each other through all of our social skills. And when we're cooperating with machines, the more social skills those machines have, the better for our future.